From the beginning, the world starts shaping you. Even before you speak, you're being measured. Before you walk, you're compared. You're told to be good, to be better, to be the best. But what does better even mean? And who gets to decide that? Who said you weren't enough already? Slowly, a message forms in your mind. There's something wrong with you, and it's your job to fix it. No one says it outright, but it's everywhere. It's in praise, in silence, in pressure. Be strong, don't cry, don't be lazy. We learn early. The world rewards those who hide their struggle, punishes those who show their pain. So you start performing, smiling when you want to scream, pushing through when you need to rest. You begin to believe the lie that you are flawed, that something in you needs to be fixed. Self-help tells you to upgrade. Society tells you to hustle. Even your inner voice whispers, not enough, but pause. Ask yourself this: what if you're not broken? What if your sadness isn't a flaw? What if your anxiety isn't a failure? What if your softness is not a weakness? You're not a machine. You don't need constant repairs. You're a human. Being tired isn't a defect. Being unsure isn't a problem. Being sensitive isn't something to erase. You don't have to apologize for not being perfect. You're allowed to be real. Have you ever stood in front of a mirror and felt like a project? Like a checklist with missing parts? That isn't healing. It's shame in disguise. And shame can't fix you. You don't need to earn your worth. You were born with it. It was never missing. But the world profits from your self-doubt. Entire industries depend on it. Selling solutions for problems that were never yours. You were taught to fix what was never broken, to hide what made you whole, to polish what was already shining. You learned to hate your quiet, your softness, your pauses. Thought stillness meant you were falling behind. But maybe stillness was exactly what you needed. Maybe stillness is where you remember yourself. Here's a truth no one told you. You don't need to be better to be enough. You already are. Growth is beautiful, but growth without compassion becomes punishment. And you don't have to hurt to be whole. You don't have to be hard to be strong. You don't have to be busy to be worthy. You don't have to be fixing yourself every day. It's okay to pause, to feel lost, to not know the answer. You're still valuable in the dark. You're still enough in the silence. You're still worthy in the mess. What if your healing isn't about changing who you are, but about remembering who you've always been? What if you've never been broken, just buried? Under all the noise, all the pressure, peel it back, and you'll find someone who was never a problem. It's only a person trying to survive. Let this be your reminder. You don't need fixing. You need gentleness. You don't need to be redesigned. You need to be seen, held, understood, loved. You are not a puzzle to solve. You are not a flaw to erase. You're not a problem to fix. We live in a world obsessed with fixing, a world that turns healing into hustle and self-discovery into self-surveillance. Everywhere you look, there's a message. You must be better. You must improve. There's always a new goal, a new version of you to chase, a better you just out of reach. The wellness industry profits from your doubt. Self-help books, productivity apps, therapy influencers, morning routine gurus, life coaches selling discipline as salvation. The message is the same. You're not there yet. Here's how to fix that. Healing becomes content. Progress becomes pressure. And your pain becomes profit. You're not just living, you're constantly optimizing, constantly tweaking. As if you're a product in beta. As if your worth depends on efficiency. As if your peace must be earned. Even rest becomes something to hack. Meditation must be tracked. Sleep must be scored. And stillness. Stillness becomes suspect. If you're not improving, what are you even doing? This culture doesn't allow pause. It doesn't honor slow seasons, doesn't respect softness. If you're tired, they say work harder. If you're hurting, they say be grateful. If you're overwhelmed, they say you're weak. You start to internalize it. You start seeing your value only through the lens of how much you produce. You can't sit still without guilt. You can't take a break without shame. You can't just exist. You feel like a project always needing updates, always needing upgrades. And the worst part, you begin to believe that this is healing, that this is what growth looks like. Constant hustle, constant evaluation, constant discomfort. But real healing is not punishment. Real growth is not self-attack. Real peace doesn't require exhaustion. You don't need to constantly fix yourself. You don't need to turn every wound into content. You don't need to monetize your healing. You don't need a morning routine to be lovable. You don't need 5 daily habits to deserve rest. You don't need to track your joy to be valid. You were never broken. You were never behind. You were just human. But this culture teaches otherwise. It teaches that your flaws are failures and your feelings are flaws. It teaches that burnout is bravery, that silence is weakness, that softness must be sharpened. So you keep pushing, keep fixing, keep hiding your humanity. You put on a smile, you show progress, stay productive. Even when your soul is tired, even when your body is begging you to slow down, even when your heart wants nothing more than rest. But healing isn't always active. Growth isn't always loud. And peace isn't always visible. Sometimes healing looks like stillness, like saying no, like crying when you need to. Sometimes healing is not fixing anything. It's just letting yourself feel, fully, honestly, without shame. You are not an algorithm to refine. You are not an app to update. You are not a brand. You're not here to be perfect. You are here to be real, to be whole, to be alive. Let go of the pressure to always improve. Let go of the lie that you're never enough. Let go of fixing. Come back to being. There's a voice in your head, quiet but sharp, points out everything you've done wrong. You should have tried harder. You're too emotional. You're not enough. You hear it daily. Sometimes it sounds like you, but it didn't start with you. That voice was inherited from judgment, from expectations, from fear. Somewhere along the way, you learned that being harsh was the only way to improve, that being gentle made you weak, that loving yourself meant you stopped growing, that kindness was lazy, so you pushed harder, criticized louder, chased perfection even when it hurt. And maybe it worked. Maybe you achieved things. But at what cost? How many nights did you go to bed not tired from life, but from yourself? How many times did you collapse not from the weight of the world, but from the war inside your own mind? This isn't discipline. This is damage. This is inner violence disguised as self-help. What if the path to healing isn't paved with punishment, but with compassion? What if softness is the strongest thing you carry? What if the way forward isn't harder but kinder? Imagine this. A voice inside you that says, I'm proud of you even now. A voice that doesn't rush your growth. It sees your effort even when it's invisible. It forgives your stumbles without delay. That voice already exists. You've just forgotten how to hear it. You've tuned it out in favor of the critic. But compassion is not weakness, it's courage. The courage to face yourself without shame. It takes strength to sit with your pain without needing to fix it immediately. It takes strength to love yourself where you are, not just where you want to be. You don't motivate a child by screaming at them. Why do we think that works on ourselves? What if you spoke to yourself like someone you care about, someone you want to protect? I know you're trying. It's okay to rest. You don't have to carry all of this alone. These aren't excuses. They're the soil. That allows real growth to happen. Change born from shame is shallow and temporary. Change born from compassion is deep and lasting. You don't have to scream at yourself to move forward. You don't have to bully yourself into becoming better. Think of all the times you kept going when no one saw it. Think of all the moments you showed up, even when it was hard. You deserve to honor those moments. Not dismiss them, not erase them. Self-compassion doesn't mean you don't grow. It means you grow with grace, with patience, with care. Imagine what would change if your inner voice became your friend, not your enemy. You'd make room for mistakes, for softness, for healing that isn't rushed. You'd stop hustling for worthiness and start resting in the truth of who you already are. You are not your progress. You are not your pace, or you are not your pain. Take a deep breath. Let this sink in. You don't need to fix yourself to be whole. You don't have to wait until your anxiety is gone, until your past is healed. You don't have to earn your wholeness. It's already yours, even if it feels cracked or incomplete. Wholeness isn't perfection. It's not a flawless smile. It's not an Instagrammable life. Wholeness is being real, being honest, being present with what is, even when you're hurting, even when you're messy, even when you're unsure of who you are. The world tells you to perform, to clean up before being seen, to polish your pain. But you don't have to wait to be better to deserve love. You don't have to wait to be fixed to feel peace. Peace doesn't arrive after the transformation. Sometimes it begins with the truth. I am enough, even now. You are not a problem to be solved. You're a life to be lived, a soul to be held. Look around you. Nature doesn't rush to fix itself. The ocean doesn't panic when waves get rough. Trees don't rush to bloom. Seasons don't apologize for changing. Why should you? You don't need to prove your worth. You don't need to constantly improve to be lovable. You don't need to be perfect to be whole. You were born complete, not flawless, but whole. Yes, you've been through pain. You've gathered scars. You've doubted yourself. But none of that means you're broken. It means you've lived, and you're still here. Sometimes we confuse pain with defect. We think suffering makes us less. But pain is not proof of your failure. It's proof of your depth, of your capacity to feel, of your courage to keep going. You're allowed to be a work in progress and still be whole. Both can exist at the same time. You can carry healing and hurt, confidence and doubt, strength and softness. Don't let anyone convince you that your value comes after the change. You don't have to earn being seen. You can be seen in your becoming. You can be loved in your undoing. You can be worthy in your wandering. There is no finish line where wholeness finally greets you. It's here, now, in this breath. And still, it's okay to want more, to want growth, to want healing. But let that desire come from love, not from shame, not from fear. Love says, I believe in you. Shame says you're not enough. Only one leads to freedom. You've been conditioned to measure your worth by milestones. You treat your identity like a checklist. Job, success, fitness, money. The list never ends, and neither does the pressure. But you're not a checklist. You're not a project. You're a person. You're allowed to pause, to not know what's next, to just breathe. Wholeness doesn't wait for your pain to disappear. It waits for you to notice it's been here all along. Underneath the noise, underneath the pressure, in your laughter, in your tears, in your quietest moments. You were already whole, you just forgot for a while. This is your permission to remember. We're told healing is a goal, a task to complete, a race to finish. So we treat it like a hustle, like something to schedule, like something to dominate. We want results, progress charts. Look, I'm better now, but real healing doesn't move that way. It's not linear. It doesn't check in with your deadlines. Some days you'll feel strong, other days completely undone. It's not failure, it's healing. Healing is messy. It circles back. It repeats old wounds you thought you buried. One moment you're grounded, the next you're triggered. This doesn't mean you're broken. It means you're human. You're alive. You're in process. But the world doesn't honor slow healing. It wants fast turnarounds. It's Instagram-ready transformation. Once your trauma turned into a TED Talk, your grief turned into growth, your pain turned into purpose. If you're not producing inspiration, you're made to feel like a burden, like you're doing it wrong. But healing isn't a show, it's a sacred unraveling. It's quiet, chaotic, real. You don't have to rush it. You don't have to make it pretty. You don't have to prove your progress. Healing doesn't owe anyone an explanation, not your family.
Not your partner.
Sometimes healing looks like crying in your car, like taking a break from everything, like saying no without a reason. Sometimes healing looks like nothing at all, like silence, like stillness that no one applauds. But still, it matters, even if no one sees it, even if it's not aesthetic. You don't have to journal every breakthrough. You don't have to meditate every morning. You don't have to turn your pain into poetry. You can just feel it, sit with it, let it pass through. You're allowed to rest in your healing, not sprint through it, not monetize it. Growth without gentleness becomes self-harm. Discipline without compassion becomes a cage. You deserve more than that. Healing is not a hustle, it's a return, back to yourself, back to your softness. It's learning to trust your own timing, to listen to your body, to honor your limits. You're not weak for slowing down. You're not lazy for choosing rest. You're not broken for taking longer. There is no gold medal for healing the fastest. There is no prize for pushing through your pain. You don't win by pretending you're okay. You win by being honest, by being tender, by being real. Let yourself be slow. Let yourself fall apart sometimes. Let yourself not have it all figured out. The pressure to always be healing can become just another way to avoid being present. Healing isn't a to-do list. It's not a destination. It's a relationship with yourself. A relationship built on patience, on softness, on showing up even when it's hard. Some days, you'll bloom. Some days you'll just survive. Both are valid. Both are healing. But you don't owe the world your transformation. You only owe yourself gentleness. You only owe yourself truth. Let this be enough. Let this be okay. Let this be healing. You've been told your feelings are too much, that you're too sensitive, that your emotions are a problem, so you hide them. Swallow your sadness. Tuck away your tears. You smile when you want to scream. You say, I'm fine. When your heart is breaking, somewhere along the way you learned emotions make you weak. And vulnerability makes you a burden, but that's a lie. Your emotions are not flaws. They're signals, messengers, teachers. Anger shows you boundaries. Sadness shows you love. Fear shows you care. Your feelings are not enemies. They are evidence you're alive, you're connected, that you care. This world often praises numbness, stoicism, detachment, staying strong. But strength isn't the absence of feeling. Real strength is feeling deeply and staying open anyway. Real strength is staying soft when it hurts. You don't have to apologize for crying. You don't have to explain your anxiety. You don't need a reason to feel. You don't owe anyone emotional perfection. You don't need to be happy all the time. And you don't need to have it all together. You're allowed to have hard days. You're allowed to break down. You're allowed to not be okay. Your feelings are not inconvenient. They're not irrational. They're not shameful. They just are. It's part of your human experience, part of your wholeness. You don't need to fix your emotions. You need to listen to them, honor them, let them move through you. Feelings are not permanent. They rise, they fall, like waves on a shore. You don't have to fear them. You don't have to control them. You just have to feel them. That's where the healing is. In the feeling, not in the fighting. When you suppress your emotions, they don't disappear. They find other ways to speak. Through your body, through tension, through burnout. You don't have to be a hero. You don't have to be unshakable. You just have to be real. Cry if you need to. Yell if you have to. Sit in silence if that's what you need. There's no right way to feel. There's no wrong way to grieve. There's no timeline to healing. You are not a robot. You are not a performance. You You are not here to make others comfortable. Your emotions are valid even if others don't understand them, even if they make people uncomfortable. That's not your fault. You're not too much. You're just deeply alive. If you've been shamed for feeling, that shame doesn't belong to you. It was projected onto you. Give yourself back the right to feel, without guilt, without apology. When you accept your emotions, you stop needing to fix them. You stop seeing yourself as broken. Emotions aren't problems. They're information. They're part of your truth. You are not your sadness. You are not your fear. You are not your anger. You are the one who holds those feelings and chooses what to do with them. And right now, you can choose to honor them without shame, without fear, just love. You've carried the weight of thinking something is wrong with you, that if you could just fix that one thing, you'd finally be okay. But what if you were never broken? If there's nothing wrong with you, only something forgotten? You've been taught to view yourself as flawed, that your softness needs sharpening, that your darkness needs erasing. But your darkness is not a flaw. It's depth. It's mystery. It's truth. You are not a machine. You are not a self-help project. You are not a checklist. You are stardust and breath, chaos and calm. You are poetry in motion. Even your mess is beautiful. Even your uncertainty holds wisdom. Even your fears are trying to protect you. The world sells you the idea that you need to fix yourself to be loved, to be productive, to be enough. But love is not a prize for the polished version of you.
Always.
Love is what you were made from. It's your natural state. And wholeness isn't found at the finish line. It's remembered in your return to yourself. Healing is not a destination. It's a homecoming. Back to the parts of you exiled. The scared parts, the tired parts, the honest parts. You don't have to fix them. You only have to sit with them. To say you belong to, that's where wholeness lives. Not in perfection, but in permission. Permission to feel, to be, to breathe. You are not a failure for struggling. You are not behind. You are not unworthy. You are a soul in motion, river still finding its course. Rivers are beautiful even when they're wild. You don't have to wait to be lovable. You already are. Not someday. Not once you're better. Now, maybe your healing doesn't look like others. Maybe it's slower. Maybe it's softer. That doesn't make it less real. That doesn't make you wrong. That makes you human. Maybe the deepest healing isn't about changing who you are, but finally loving who you've always been, that frightened child inside you. They need compassion, not correction. They need presence, not performance. You've tried so hard to be good enough, to measure up, to outrun the shame. But you don't have to run anymore. There is no finish line. There is only now. Now is enough. This breath is enough. You are enough. You can stop chasing worth. You can stop editing yourself. You can just be. And in that being, in that stillness, you'll remember. You were never the problem. The problem was the story, the expectations, the lies. But now you know better. Now you can choose truth. Now you can come home to your body, to your voice, to your softness. You were never broken. You were just told you were. You were always whole. Let that truth sink in. Let it soften you. Let it guide you forward. And the next time you feel like something needs fixing, pause. Breathe. Remember, you are not a problem. You are a person. You are already enough. This is quiet philosophy, where thinking isn't loud, and life doesn't need to be either. Subscribe if you haven't already, not for noise, but for something you can actually feel.